State your name, please.
Jess Silvan.
Hi, Jess.
Marge Womack.
Marge.
Yep.
Sherry McClellan.
Hi, Sherry.
Yourself, sir?
Scott.
Alrighty. Sounds like that's it. Alrighty, well, we'll get rolling here. We got a long list to go, so is there any additions from the council to the agenda? I have a couple here. David, do you have any?
No, I don't at this time, no. And I'd like to redact some of, or pull back some of them until we can meet in person. So when we get to those, I'll let you know.
Okay, you want to go ahead and you want to strike them now?
Yeah, darn it. The employee, sewer employee, and the handbook.
Okay.
I want to put those off till we can meet in person. I think it's going to take more time for us to go through those,
Okay.
and probably not going to tonight. Not going to work. So
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I appreciate it. We'll we should be able to meet next go around, and we can do it there.
Yeah, that works.
Alrighty, I actually have 3 additions. The first one here is a sidewalk closer for the hotel. They're going to be doing some work there, so I want to talk a little bit on that. The public hearing, our second public hearing for the CBDG grant is the second edition. And the third one is a grievance policy that we need to look at for that same grant that I'd like to be able to adopt for grant purposes that's required by the entity that's giving the grant out. So there's 3 of them for me, and we'll get rolling.
Hey Nathan, this is Justin.
Yeah.
Can you add for you to do, I guess, but like a mayor's update on maybe what's going on with some of the maintenance issues or some of the things just going on around town that you've been working on?
Yep, I can do that. We'll put mayor
Thank you.
mayor update. Okay.
Take a little of that, Mayor. Will come into the street surface repairs. I mean, that'll all probably coincide here.
Okay.
To make it a lot easier. It'll flow right into it, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, if we need to rearrange a little bit to make things go smoother, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Alrighty. Any other additions? Alrighty, let's move on to the regular city council meeting minutes from May 13th. Does anyone have any corrections or additions? Okay.
David, no.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
This is Justin. I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes as read by Justin. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Levi will second. Any more discussion?
The EMS call for medical email.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as read, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Preston EMS, Brian, you respond to 38150 Skyview Fort North.
Let's, Justin, is that your radio?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Mine's turned off. Alrighty, let's move on to the May 26th special meeting minutes. Anyone have any additions or corrections? I have a small spelling correction that I will, I'll let Janice know about. Other than that, I'm good.
Hey, Nathan, this is David.
Yeah.
There's a lot of feedback going on that sounds like a bunch of CB radios in the back or whatever background. I don't know if anybody else hears that or not, but when we talk and stuff, there's a lot of interference. So I don't know if anybody has something on or speakers or what's going on. I don't know if anybody else hears it, but
Yeah, I heard it too. I've got my radio turned off, and Justin said he does too, so I guess if anyone else has got theirs on to make sure it's turned off for us.
okay. Well, if we can live with it, if we can hear, that's fine. We'll go.
It's hard to take notes, so.
Okay.
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my radio's off too.
Okay. Well, we'll move forward, and hopefully we don't get any more of it. Okay, any additions or corrections to the special council meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Levi,
Second.
seconded by Peter. Any more discussion? No. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as read, signify by saying aye.
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 David, aye. Aye, David. Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Approval of bills. I know, Steven, you had did you have any more questions? Nope, okay. Any questions on bills?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Item number 409 on page 1. The second item, 409, Internal Revenue Service, is that the same as FICA? What we're accustomed to.
I do not know that. Janice, can you elaborate on that? Is that payment, is that the same as FICA, or is that something different?
No, that's our taxes. That's our IRS taxes.
For David, EFT, what does that stand for?
Electronic funds transfer. It comes directly out of the bank.
And to follow up on Peter's request, what is that? It's a FICA tax? Is it Social Security?
I'm not at the office. I'm sorry. I'm not looking directly at that. I'm home with a migraine.
Oh, okay. No, I just want payroll. Would anybody know? Would that be a FICA?
Yeah, this is Justin. So those are the city's payroll taxes that they have to take care of. They send to the IRS. So if that's
Okay.
any federal taxes, both for the cities and for the employee that we withhold, that gets checked out that way.
Well, I assume that would be a employee tax payment. Is what I think we're right. We're not. I don't know. Does that answer your question, Peter?
I don't think it's FICA, but it is a payroll tax. But I just don't know exactly which one it is without looking at the paperwork. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Another couple items.
Sure. Go ahead, Peter.
Item 418 on page 2, top item. Turf application at park, turf application cemetery. How many of those do we have a year?
I believe just one. Is that correct, Scott? Just once a year?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep.
Thank you. Item 473, this is Peter again for those on the phone. 473, law enforcement. Not law enforcement.
Well, just a spelling there, Janice, in the memo column for enforcement.
Oh, got it. I'll take care of it in bias. I got it circled. Thank you.
I move the bills be accepted as presented and corrected.
Okay, we have a motion by Peter to accept the bills as corrected.
Second.
We have a second by Steven. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, Davidson, vote.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thanks, guys.
Nathan, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sod for around the niche and the few graves that we had, 7 graves, I think it was.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Alrighty. COVID-19 update. That was just something that I wanted to update quickly on, which everybody probably does already know, but just kind of where the county's at. Lincoln County was granted Phase 3. We don't have local guidelines. We have the kind of the statewide guidelines from the governor, but we still don't have our local guidelines. So we're just kind of waiting for those to come out. But we should be able to meet in person, everybody next meeting. I just kind of wanted to give an update on that. So that was all I had. Annual report. That is also something that's just an update. Janice and myself have been working on the annual report with lots of help from Justin. Just kind of wanted to let everybody know where we were at. That's originally due at the end of May. The state legislative group put an extension on that until June 17th. So just because of COVID stuff. So that's statewide for us. So it's a big process. There's about 13 financial documents that are compiled from everything that we have here at City Hall, which accounts for all the money that we received and all the money that we spent last year. It's definitely been an eye-opener for me on not only how we take care of our money, but how we record it and make sure that we have all the paperwork we needed. We have bias going forward, so this is all being done by hand this year. This will be the last year doing it by hand, and then next year bias will be able to take care of a lot of the time and effort I think that's been put into this previously. So any questions on that from council?
I'd like to say thank you to Justin.
Yes,
for
me
the
too.
hours that he's put in as a council member who doesn't have the experience to offer much to that right now. I do appreciate the fact that Justin was able to lend a hand, and his experience is very much appreciated on behalf of the council. I believe I speak for everyone in that.
Absolutely. Justin, were you able to hear that okay?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Yes, thank you again for all your help. Okay. Chicken ordinance. Where are we at with that, Levi? What do you think?
I saw the most recent copy in Janice's last email prior to the council meeting. I have no problems with it whatsoever.
Okay, Justin, you had a question on this? You wanted a couple things clarified, is that correct?
Yeah, so I think, so we have a dog ordinance that has a lot of stipulations, but the regular ordinance that we're amending, it says that people can have household pets, but it doesn't say if we find their cat or their ferret or their snake in the street that we're going to confiscate it and then destroy it, or that we can appeal. So I think the original ordinance that was drafted probably 4 years ago, had a lot of regulations that had the licensing of the cages or whatever, that I don't know that all that stuff is needed now. I think we could just, personally, I would think we could just amend the ordinance to allow the 6 chickens, because otherwise we're going to have to, if a chicken gets out, then Scott or Charlie are going to have to pick it up before they destroy it. They're going to have to identify who the owner is and then notify the owner. And if the owner wants to appeal it, then we have to hold the chicken until we have an appeal process. So I think that whole section is not needed. We already have problems with the dog ordinance and enforcing that. So I think if we want to go forward with this to make it less onerous on the city and the citizens, that we would just amend it to where it say 6 chickens, if that's what the city wants to do, or the council.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a potential direction for us here, if it'd be helpful. I think we should make a motion. I have 2 amendments I'd like to oppose to a motion. We can have discussion on it once a motion's been made, and then either vote it up or down or table it at that point in time. So in that context of where I'm going, I'd like to make a motion that the ordinance be adopted as written at this point, and then I'll offer my amendments here in a sec. So do we have a second for that?
Okay, we have a motion on the table to adopt it as it sits. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Levi will second. Discussion.
Okay, now I will offer an amendment.
Yes.
I have
So this is David.
discussion. Section 4, paragraph F, D2. There's some awkward wording in there that I think I understand it, but it could be improved on. Where it reads, any chickens which are found off of the owner's single-family resident premises are not permitted. It's a minor point, but I think that could be streamlined and clarified a little bit.
You're talking about the single family part, Peter? The single family residence?
Yeah, well, any chickens
So this is Justin.
are not permitted.
I think to Peter's point, this means that no one that lives in an apartment is allowed to have a chicken on their multifamily property. So if we're going, this only allows for people that are in a house themselves. So I don't know if that was the intent, but that's what it says.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Justin.
So I'm going to offer an amendment.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, good.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Mayor, this is David. I just want to know what the R1 zone is, for clarification.
Residential one.
What?
Residential.
And do we have a map of that in town, or how is a person to tell?
We do have a map. It's no, that's not the zoning one. There's a map at City Hall. I don't think it's posted anywhere. Somebody could get a copy of that through City Hall.
Right. And I was just wondering clarification of all these rules and ordinances and what we're doing.
Right.
What R1 means. We don't have an R2, do we?
I don't believe so. I don't have it in front of me. There's, I think, 5 different zones, and I'd have to.
The only thing I think would be important for the citizenry to know this, if they choose to do this, going forward, of what's what. Is all my just clarification on stuff. Because we're talking about doing stuff here and what we allow and what we don't allow, but who the heck knows where ours R1 is? And I mean, you might as well be talking in Mandarin and Chinese. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So we need to spell it out. Clarification is all I'm looking for.
Okay. Point taken. Thank you, Stephen. You had something?
Yeah, so the first amendment that I would move is that all references to chickens in section 2, so this would be section 4 FD2, all references to chickens be preceded by female. This is in response to a point that Justin had, that the way this reads as a whole could imply that roosters are included. However, it's excluded by what we see in the part of D where it says the keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry, including roosters, except for the following uses, shall be permitted for use and therefore allowed without a conditional use permit. So I believe my interpretation is that legally that's saying that roosters are not acceptable, but chickens are. However, I don't really think it reads that way very well to the common person. So I don't believe I'm changing any intent here to just clarify that since roosters are chickens, this is referring to female chickens. So
Just
I
more
move that amendment as the first of my two.
Okay, we have a motion for an amendment by Stephen. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
David, second.
Okay, Peter beat you to it, David. We got a second by Peter.
Okay.
Any more discussion on that amendment?
Could we restate the amendment?
So this is Justin. Go ahead, Peter.
I just wanted a restatement of the amendment before we vote on it.
So I can read the changes that they would be to section 2. One thing I do want to clarify is right now we are only voting on the amendment to the motion. Therefore, a vote yes on this is not a vote to adopt this ordinance as it is. It's a motion to say that what we're voting on should be changed thusly. So section or paragraph, subsection 2, I guess, is what it would be. A maximum of 6 female chickens are permitted for each standalone single-family residence, so long as all female chickens are confined on the residential property by their owners. Any female chickens which are found off of the owner's single-family residence premise are not permitted, and any female chickens so found shall be considered feral chickens and will be euthanized or otherwise dealt with by the city staff and will not be returned to the homeowner. This determination of feral and non-return status is subject to appeal under Section 13 of Ordinance Number 319.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion on the amendment? Justin, did you have something?
Well, I don't know if it's the amendment or if it's the general one, but it has to do with David's point about the zoning. Is this only for This is only for R1, or is it for every? Because we have houses in other, we have residential properties that are in other zones, like LC or the other zone.
Yeah, for like commercial. This is just saying that the original ordinance was saying that this was prohibited in R1 zone, except for, it says the following uses are prohibited in this zone, and then it lists them, and this is just amending that list. So the original one reads, the following uses are prohibited in the R1 zone. keeping of animals, livestock, or poultry, except household pets for the personal enjoyment of the occupants. And then it goes on to a couple other sections.
The only thing I have there, Nathan,
Yeah.
is how would the general public know what R1? I mean, how would they know?
They would just have to come into City Hall. I mean, we could post something somewhere showing, get a map out, maybe the post office and some other places, but they would have to inquire with the city about having chickens, and then they would be able to get that information from us here at the City Hall.
Going by this, then, any chickens or animals and stuff outside the R1 zone are free game. Anything goes. Is what
I don't know how the original ordinance reads. I'd have to research that.
This is changing an exclusion. This is not speaking to an
I
inclusion.
understand
So
Yep.
if there is no exclusion on the other zones, then theoretically they would never have been prohibited from having chickens in the first place.
Correct.
But this wouldn't change that one way or another.
Okay, so we're just voting on this, and the others are off the table. Is my point.
Yeah. So
Is
this,
that we can't regulate anything else other than R1 zone.
yeah, this would just be the amendment to this.
Okay. Very good. Levi made a good point, and yeah, that answered my question.
Okay. Any more discussion on the amendment?
I would like to move to amend the amendment. What's the proper procedure for doing that at this time, before your amendment is voted on,
I would
Stephen?
think you would vote yours down,
From a
right?
Roberts Rules of Order perspective, you can only amend what I have added or deleted. Otherwise, we'd have to vote it down and make a new amendment.
And could you read your proposed text again, please? So we know what's been added or deleted?
So it's just the addition of the word female before any reference to chickens.
Okay. You're probably our best parliamentarian. I would like to propose we delete a phrase that may or may not pertain to your motion.
Okay, which phrase is that?
I would like to delete premises are not permitted in any chicken so found. It's an extraneous phrase in that.
So that would be you can offer that as a separate amendment, because that's changing text that I didn't change.
But it contains chickens.
It
That has to be preceded by female.
It does, but from a Roberts Rules of Order perspective, you can only change what I have added. And so if I haven't added it, you can't change it in this amendment.
Okay.
Thank
you.
But that would be something you could propose as your own amendment, certainly.
Let's go ahead and vote on this, and then we'll move forward, huh?
Call a question.
Please.
All in favor of the amendment that Stephen has on the vote by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
5-0. All opposed, same sign. 5-0. Amendment passes. Motion for the amendment passes.
Okay, before I offer my second one, Peter, I'll let you go, because my second one will be the more controversial of the two.
I referred again to the same text that I referred to earlier in this meeting. Under paragraph F, sub D, sub 2, the phrase, premises are not permitted in any chicken so found, I propose that phrase be deleted. It's extraneous as I see it, such that the sentence would read after the amendment, any chickens which are found off of the owner's single-family residence shall be considered feral chickens. I make the amendment just to streamline the text.
Before we do that, maybe Stephen could explain what he wants to do. 'Cause I don't know if that's going to take care of that too.
No.
Is something different?
Peter just wants to strike the word premises between residents and are not. Correct, Peter?
Premises are not permitted and any chicken so found as appears to me to be
Right,
extraneous.
so you just wanted to say owners, single-family residents are not permitted. The
Owner
striking of,
single-family residents shall be considered feral chickens. Any chickens which are found off the owner's
Right.
single-family residence.
are not permitted. And any
Well,
chickens so
if we-
found.
If you go to the next phrase, shall be considered feral chickens.
What do we think, if we got this much work on this still, what do you guys think about just tabling this? I know Levi, you've been working on this for quite a while, but it sounds like we have some work to do yet.
And my question
It
is,
says we should table it for further discussion. Obviously, we're not coming to a head here, and I think maybe a little bit of time, a little thought might be wise.
Okay,
I think I said earlier, the language says single-family residence.
yep,
I'm indifferent to, but that excludes a certain, say, class of people here. I mean, so if you live in, we have what, three sets of apartments?
yeah,
So anyone that in one of those 3 sets of apartment properties would be excluded.
yep.
If that's, and there's also, if that's what we want. I mean, I don't know.
Stephen, how do you feel? You made an amendment that we've moved on.
I think that personally, I would like to see us proceed. I think Peter's amendment is, if I understand it correctly, it doesn't materially change what's being communicated, so I'm okay with it. But I think personally, I feel like we're closer than we may think. But again, I think it's going to be probably the second amendment that I have that will probably result in a tabling.
Okay, so can you state your amendment, Peter?
So yeah,
I move that we delete from the sentence that now reads, any chickens which are found off the owner's single-family residence premises are not permitted, and any chicken so found shall be considered to be feral chickens, and amend that by deleting premises are not permitted and any chicken so found. It seems to be an extraneous addition to that sentence,
Okay.
such that after the amendment, the text would read, any chickens which are found off the owner's single-family residence shall be considered feral chickens and will be euthanized.
Okay. So there's a motion to, thank you for that. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, motion by Peter, seconded by Stephen. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 David, aye.
Okay, that is a 5-0. Passes. So there's one amendment, 2 amendments. Okay, Stephen, you have another amendment.
I will offer my second and last amendment to say that the last sentence of subsection 2 should read, this determination of feral and non-return status is not subject to appeal, period.
Okay, do we have a, did you make a motion or you just?
That
Okay.
That is the motion, yep.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
May I speak to it in discussion?
Yes, more discussion.
And the clerk asked him to repeat that. It's hard to hear him.
Sure. I'll speak a little louder. This would change the last sentence of subsection 2 to say this determination of feral and non-return status is not subject to appeal, period.
Thank you.
The discussion on this, Justin raised a number of good points of the city's capacity to hold animals pending appeal. And while it is equally a question in regards to dogs, which would be another subject that I would like to look at another time, the subject before us today is chickens. So I don't think it's a wise decision for the city to get into the business of holding a chicken, having the liability for what happens to the chicken while it is holding appeal. All of that type of stuff is not something that we have the capability, in my opinion, of doing as a city. I mean, it is certainly something we can prioritize and achieve, but with the limited resources, time, money, and whatever else we have, I don't think it is a wise move for us to get into that potential position. So why I mentioned why I think this may result in a tabling is that we do not have it established whether it is permissible for us to to euthanize an animal without appeal. And I did not want to vote no without that provision because I'm generally in favor of it. So therefore, I think we may have to table that until we have it established whether we are allowed to do this without appeal. But I would have concerns about putting such provision in place while we would be in the financial time, liability, responsibility for an animal during the appeal process.
And I don't know off the top of my head, to answer your question, Stephen, about the appeal process, I don't know if that's something that we can choose to allow or not choose to allow. I'd have to talk with our attorney or research it, or both, to find that out.
So my question to Stephen's amendment is, you mentioned the word euthanize, so we're still going to be responsible for killing, because euthanize is like a...
Polite.
Well, it's a polite, yeah, probably like a veterinary euthanizes things. I don't think, so then what does that mean? Or are we going to go just wring its neck or chop it off with an axe? Is that something that our city employees are...
That's not mandated, because it does say that it will be euthanized or otherwise dealt with by city staff and will not be returned to the homeowner. So this does not, basically it says all options are open to us. So if we don't wish to euthanize the chicken, it would seem as though we have the ability to gift the chicken to whomever we will. I would agree that it would be concerning if we were mandating the euthanization of animals, but I don't think that's what's being said here.
I would just be a little concerned with the time and money spent. Not so much the money spent. I mean, I don't know that that would really come into play that much, but say if we were to take it somewhere or something like that, I mean, we're man hours and fuel and stuff like that, so that's one thing that would come to mind for me.
I'm very uncomfortable with taking away a citizen's right to appeal, even though it's a relatively small amount of money we're talking about here.
And I don't know for sure that we can, Peter.
But the other
we'd
thing,
have to research that.
The other thing is, we're not, that's what I said on the phone earlier, this originally was written when we were going to register. You had to actually register your chickens, you had to register the cage or the coop or whatever. And so if you see a red chicken running down the street right now, there's no tag on it, there's no band probably. So I don't know if it's Peter's or Levi's or Nathan's or Stephen's or mine. I mean, so that's where I think that whole extra part of that provision.
You would have to establish ownership before you did anything.
Right, so we don't do that with cats or with ferrets or boa constrictor snakes or whatever other kind of household pet that's listed on that list. So if you see a cat running around, we don't say we're going to take it and euthanize it or gift it to somebody else. We don't establish ownership. So I don't know how we're going to do that with chickens either. So that's...
I'd like to offer a thought, just
Go ahead.
a suggestion here. This has nothing to do with your amendment. It's just a thought. This says a maximum of 6 chickens are permitted for each standalone single-family residence so long as all chickens are confined on the residential property of the owners. And then it launches into everything that we're having a dispute about right here. Just a thought, what would you say to stopping the entire thing at that period? That would take away the city's liability, the city's... As he said, there's no stipulation as far as cats, boa constrictors, or anything
Right.
else regarding their ownership.
Yep.
So, I'm willing to entertain that. What I would suggest you to do is to vote down this amendment and propose that as your own.
Yeah,
Right.
let's finish. I
Yep.
agree. Any more discussion on the amendment that we're on right now? Okay. All in favor, could we restate
Which
the
motion are we voting
This is the
on?
This is Stephen's amendment to change the language to not allow an appeal.
Right. So, all in favor of changing that language, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
I opposed.
Okay. Motion fails.
Amendment fails.
Oh, sorry. Amendment fails, 0-5. Okay, Levi,
I
floor's
would
yours.
like to propose an amendment to ordinance number, or to the amendment to ordinance number 319 for section 4F D2. There's a mouthful. To remove everything from section or paragraph 2, section 2 after the first sentence. I can
So you would read, it would read a maximum of 6 female chickens are permitted for each standalone single-family residence, so long as all female chickens are confined on the residential property by the owners, and that would be the end.
That would be the end.
Okay. Motion.
Second.
Motion's been made. The second motion by Levi, seconded by Stephen.
I have a discussion.
Discussion.
So the way that language reads, it says by the property owner. So if we have rental properties here, so if a tenant in a single family residence wants to have chickens, they can't because the owner is not maintaining it.
Okay.
That's the intent. That's just thrown out there that this is where, again, we would be excluding certain people. If that's, I mean, or if that's what we want, again, it's.
I would
Could
respond
we,
to...
go ahead, Stephen.
No, this is fine.
I was just going to say we could amend that first sentence to include renters or lessees are confined on the residential property by the owners
Or just say,
or lessee or resident.
Confined on the residential property and strike by the owners.
unless I guess the word owner meant chicken owner.
The
I
owner
was,
of the
I was
chicken.
just about to say, it
If it means
doesn't...
chicken owner, then it doesn't matter who it is.
doesn't-
Right.
Yeah.
If that might be the intent. I don't.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then I would suggest how we proceed then is to, if we're all okay with truncating it, let's vote up Levi's motion and then have another amendment to address that issue. And I think we're there after that point.
Well, can't he amend his motion to say to strike it after
Not
that?
at this point, no, because we can only amend language that he either added or deleted with the motion made and
And
seconded.
that's outside of the language that I...
Technically.
Okay.
I don't inherently know this much about Robert's rules. I looked it up knowing that we were going to be going through an ordinance with amendments, so I looked it up before we came. So
Oh, I appreciate it.
that's
Giving some
That's
good
a big
guidance.
help.
the only reason why I know.
Big help, Stephen.
Okay.
So I call the question on Levi's amendment.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Is that an aye?
Yep, we got all 5. So that amendment passes. 5-0.
So this would be the Fifth Amendment if it goes down.
So I move to amend to say that the end of the sentence on subsection 2 would include the word chicken before the last word of owner. So it would now read in full, subsection 2, a maximum of 6 female chickens are permitted for each standalone single-family residence, so long as all the female chickens are confined on the residential property by the chicken owners.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Steven, seconded by Peter. Any more discussion? David, do you have anything?
No,
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Everybody good? Okay. Hearing no more discussion.
can I?
Yeah, good.
So, again, this is, I don't care. I just want to make sure that the council is okay with that sentence that says standalone single-family residence. So we don't want to include multifamily residences.
My 2 cents, I say yes for now, because if we want to amend this again later because there's an outcry for that, we can address that as a simpler issue.
Okay.
But for me, the whole town doesn't get to do it right now. And so if we need to make a little correction to that again later, I think we can hear that argument and respond to it. But we're addressing 95% of the problem at the minimum right now. And if if it was locked in stone, I'd probably want to debate that part more, but I think we can address that if there's a demand. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Call the question.
All in favor of,
This is the amendment.
The
still.
amendment. Yeah.
yes,
To the Fifth Amendment, okay.
all in favor of the amendment that signify by saying aye.
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 I
All opposed? Nothing. Okay, the amendment passes 5-0.
And if there's no further discussion now on the amended ordinance, I would call the question on the ordinance.
I'll second.
Keep second to call the question.
We need a motion to,
No.
He just called the question, so there's no more discussion.
oh,
This is to the original motion. Now this is to the main motion with
To adopt the
4
ordinance
adopted
as a-
amendments.
Yep.
okay. All in favor of the original motion of the amendment to ordinance number 319, signify by saying aye.
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 could you repeat what it actually, read it again, what we're voting on?
Yeah, so this is to accept the ordinance, the amendment to ordinance number 319, which is the full amendment, the sheet that you got in the packet.
But that we had 4 amendments
Yeah.
too, so some of that
So-
language now is.
Everything.
Hence why I thought we should rework this and come back to it.
Well, okay. Everything is as read, except in subsection 2, we changed it to a maximum of 6 female chickens are permitted for each standalone single-family residence, so long as all the chickens are confined on the residential property by the chicken owners.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you, David?
It does. Say nothing about roosters. And they had a problem in the past about roosters.
That's why it says female
Down.
chicken.
Yeah, that was one of the amendments to include female before the word chickens.
But shouldn't that be clarified in the ordinance stated?
It is.
Yeah,
On the original
No,
ordinance, it says, David, that excludes roosters. Or
so it's that.
Yeah, on the text of subsection D mentions roosters, poultry including roosters.
yeah, that.
Yeah, it states in the beginning of F that roosters are prohibited.
Does that answer your question?
I'm looking at it here. Roosters are,
It's FD.
well, part of, yeah, got it. Okay, it does. So, I vote yay.
Okay, we have 4 yeses, all opposed. Did you
There's one more, right?
abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay,
After you-
we have a 4-0-1 with Councilman Slack abstaining.
Who were the two that motioned and seconded?
The original motion?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I had the original motion and Levi seconded.
Okay, the original motion was by Steven, and it was seconded by Levi.
Thank you.
Okay,
Congratulations, Levi.
Yeah. How many years have you been working on that?
9.5.
9.5.
9.5 years.
So you have to post this now before
Right.
before you can have chickens.
That was a milestone.
okay, moving on from the chicken ordinance. Let's go to the McGregor building heater. As part of the contract with Johnson Family Towing for the lease of the McGregor building, we were to install a heater in there, which they ended up not needing it last winter, and so we're working on moving forward with getting that in before it gets cold this year. So it was more kind of just an update to you guys. We were in touch with Kaiser Mechanical last fall and received a quote of about it's right around $6,500. I don't have it right in front of me. And then they said they were going to schedule us out for this earlier this year, and then with COVID and everything else and some of their scheduling before that, they weren't able to do it. So I just wanted to update you guys and let you know that we will be doing that shortly, and we'll get an exact quote to the council before it's done.
You said that was from Kaiser?
Yes.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Did we have any other bids or anybody else interested in doing this work?
Yes, I believe there was. Well, not doing the work, just we had one other party that was to provide the unit itself, but not to actually install.
Okay, so Kaiser was our best and final offer in doing this?
Yes, that would be correct.
I didn't. Nathan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We had, I got 3 other people to bid on it, but they just didn't do it.
So we actually had no other submitted bids.
Is that Scott?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an update. We were going to try to do it earlier, but scheduling with them kind of goofed things up. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with that now. That was just kind of an FYI.
Okay.
Code compliance. I think I mentioned last meeting that I'd asked for you guys to provide anyone that you thought that would want to do it or would want to be involved. And I didn't hear anything from you guys. I have an interested party that said, Jay Gossett said that he would do it. Moving forward, we have not hired him. I have not hired him, but he did say that he'd do it. So I just wanted to let you know. I think it's important to have that position filled.
Well, what's all involved with code compliance, officer?
So it deals with all the ordinances in town and the paperwork and kind of the follow through on all of the compliance with our codes and ordinances.
So it's both proactive and reactive. So if people come in and file complaints, so we have a complaint form, I think, here. People file complaints, it's for a chance for that person to then follow up and go see if that's the case. And then if it is the case, they would write them a letter saying they're in violation of whatever ordinance it is, and then gives them a certain amount of time to abate. And if they don't abate, then the city can take action, or if they want to appeal it, they can appeal, which would be to the mayor is the person. That's the reactive, and then proactive is if they're out and about and they see things, they can then go talk to either, they can send a letter out directly, or they can go talk to the folks and see what's going on.
Well, just for the record, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd be interested in that position if it's something we need to do.
Okay.
Well, so before, the mayor so originally Scott was the person, based on how the ordinance reads, the original ordinance. And then at one time, at some point before I got on here, Scott wasn't the person, or Scott wasn't doing it. And 5 years ago, Paul appointed himself with the council's, I guess, approval to do that. So the mayor gets to appoint somebody. In the last 4 years, we actually made it a paid position for the 6 months. So there's it was $250 or
Yeah.
Stipend, yeah.
it's a stipend position. So it's not based on hours. It's just based on the per month. So at the time when Paul Gillen, the previous mayor, had agreed to do it, I thought it was a conflict of interest. Only because he was also, as the mayor, was also the appellate court thing. It's up to the mayor, really. I think, though, I mean, if a council member is interested in doing it, I don't know that there's anything against it. Based on the other, I mean, it just depends, I guess, you have to weigh your options, I guess. And also, I'd probably check, though, I guess, to see if a council member
Can do it.
could do it
Yep.
based on, like.
That's just what I was going to say, David. The only thing that I do beforehand is just to make sure that that's allowable, and if so, then we can go forward from that.
So this is a mayor appointed.
Say again?
I'd just like to check just to make sure that a council member would be allowed to do it. I don't know what it states in the ordinance itself or any paperwork pertaining to the position, but once I check on that, I'd be happy to go forward and talk with you about it.
That's fine. You're the mayor. I threw my hat in the ring, and you make the final decision. Good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. That's the way it is. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your interest. I just want to make sure that I go about it the right way is all, and then I can do so.
And the only thing is just, no, enough said. Do what you need to do and see if it's viable.
Okay, yeah, I'll get back with you on that. Thank you. Peter, metal collection, you have the floor.
Thank you. I've gotten two conflicting bits of information as to who owns and therefore operates the metal collection point, and I'd just like clarification such that the city knows who's responsible for the metal there, and I think we should get it underway for collection. And it's become a bit of an eyesore.
This is pertaining to the bin?
The metal collection point on the west end of the welding building.
Okay.
Does the city know who's responsible for that?
David, could you help
Here.
explain that a little bit?
And I clearly have made that very clear.
We discussed it, I know, but there are conflicting claims. My understanding was that Harrington Truck and Auto was responsible for it. And I'd just like to make sure that all parties are reading from the same script.
Right from the start, it's never been his. and I clearly we discussed that.
We did.
Harrington Truck and Auto has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Well, the reason I raised the point is, at one time, many months ago, they gave me a completely different story about it. I had the distinct
Mike had his
impression.
own thing in there, and Mike was doing his own, but that was clearly 100% me. I made up all of those flyers and everything else. It's never been Harrington Truck and Auto, and I'm not quite sure why. I guess I'm not understanding why it's an issue.
Yeah,
I think he just wanted clarification on who was responsible for that and the collection of it.
Well, that was also put right there on the flyers when they were made.
So originally, it was on private property. It was it was behind Budrus's property, or on their property.
Right.
Then it moved, and I think now it's it's not vacated, but a unimproved city street,
Yeah.
right, 6th Street. I mean,
Actually, it was on David's property and then did move out because it got so big.
right, no, that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
exactly
That's what he said.
So originally, it was on private property.
They closed. I mean,
So I don't know if that, I don't know, that's how I understood it, was on private property, or that they actually finished it up and then it moved out to where it's at today. I just dumped stuff there last weekend.
Yeah.
well, not all of that is city property that's back there. The beginning of that is all David's.
Yeah.
Then it moved on. It didn't move into the road. It moved on to the easement, the easeway, part of the road.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been helpful for a place for people to take their stuff, so it's been appreciated as far as that goes. Does that answer your question, Peter? That is.
yes.
Okay.
There was a second part, though. I was curious to know what the future actions will be and what the agenda will be on that. What the projected date will be for moving some of the cars.
I think there's just
It's
one
already
car.
cleaned up.
There's just one car now. I was there last weekend and they took out one or two cars, plus the rest they emptied out that little green.
Yeah, the bin's empty and there's
bin. So there's
one car.
left.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that was
I
last
didn't
week.
know that.
Denise, do you have a schedule, or not a schedule, do you have a time frame? Are you just going to kind of keep a bin there for whenever it works? Is that going to be a permanent fixture that people can use, or is that going to be removed at some point?
I was going to keep it there, but if it's going to be such an issue, I won't.
No, I personally think it's a good point to have somewhere for people to take their stuff, trying to get stuff out of other properties, and they have a source to remove that from their properties and a place to take it right here in town.
Well, not to mention, I constantly find people ransacking through it and wanting stuff out of it. And, I've never done anything. I've never denied them.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, it's becoming something I don't know if I want to continue, if it's going to be a problem.
Alrighty. Thank you. Peter, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, it
Both
does.
of them? Both parts?
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have here 1985 Boardman City Pumper. That's something I added. You guys remember or know that the city of Harrington was annexed into the fire district, so that...
The public does not use suit.
What's that? So...
What's all about this, Nathan? City Pumper, is that old big fire truck down there, or we have?
Yeah, so that's the pumper truck that the city owns. It's a Class A pumper. It's the city fire truck that's parked at the fire station. That's owned by the city.
Yeah, and what do we? we want to get rid of it, or do I repair it, or what's our dig here? I mean, what do we want to do with it?
Yeah, that's where I was just going with that. So the Fire District 6.
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Maybe I should start explain to the council members what Lincoln County District 6 had decided, and reiterate what our offer is. So
No, I have it in front of me. I have the letter that the district gave to the city. I think David was having trouble hearing me possibly. Maybe I need to speak up a little bit.
Sure. I was just going to clarify what the pumper is used for. So this is Ron Melke. I'm a commissioner of Lincoln County Fire District 6, and at our May 12, 2020 commissioners meeting, we discussed the possibility of purchasing the city's 1985 Class A pumper, a Boardman brand, and because we've housed it for all these years inside our fire station, and we've trained on it, and we use it to respond to city calls that we can use with a fire hydrant. And we felt very strongly that after the voters voted to annex the city into the Lincoln County Fire Protection District 6, that we needed to take ownership of that truck so then we could maintain it ourselves instead of asking the city to buy hoses and reels and different things for it as the repairs needed. So that's why we came forth with this offer to purchase, and I know that Nathan has it in front of him, and so the commissioners decided that with the age of the truck that we would offer $10,000 to purchase a Class A pumper that's sitting in our fire station right now.
Yeah, so thank you, Ron. That's correct. I don't see that the city has a use for it anymore. With Harrington being annexed into the district itself, it makes sense, at least to me, for the district to own and maintain and incur costs and everything else that goes along with that truck. So they just, like Ron said, they have an offer to purchase that truck, and I wanted to see what the council thought and hear some discussion on that.
This is Peter, Ron, Peter Davenport. At one time, you may not know, but at one time the council discussed the disposition of that pumper, and we explored the possibility of offering it for sale, and the figure of $10,000 was cited then as, I'm going on memory, but
That's a.
Yeah, are you talking the red one?
That's the
old pumper.
That's the historic
old
one.
one.
That's the antique.
in the building, I see.
Yeah, that's the
I
one.
retract my statement then, I apologize.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Steven.
So, Ron, out of curiosity, I'll preface this by saying I understand that there's beneficial situation between the city and the fire district here, and there might be other contextual things. But just to give me a reference, if we were looking at the absolute best case scenario price of that truck, where are we in relation? Like, would it in the absolute best case scenario, would go for 15? Or I'm just trying to understand when we look to, without a lot of context of the condition of that truck or anything else, if we're offering an explanation to the public as why we sold it for that price, just trying to understand what is the maximum potential, and then why are we off of that, if we are off of that any at all.
So.
Sure, Stephen, thank you. So we did as much, since it's a 1985, there's not a lot of references out there to what the value is. We took some of the purchase price of the Odessa city pumpers, and we came together with the age of it and what other newer ones are worth, and we just thought for the time being that this was a good, fair price for that pumper. Remember when we were talking talking annexation, whether we buy this truck or not, the Lincoln County Fire District 6 promises to keep a Class A pumper for the purposes of the city's insurance rating. We promise to keep one there. If that requires us to purchase a newer one, we're ready to do that too. We just thought for this first transition year, the price of this, since we've trained on it, we're familiar with it, it does run. We have a lot of our district equipment on it, our SCBAs, and we have a couple ladders on there and different things. We thought that it would benefit us and the city to make this transaction work. And so that is the purpose, Stephen, of this offer. If the city chooses not to accept the offer, then that's fine. Then we will go ahead and look to purchase another truck to fulfill our promise to keep a Class A pumper.
No, that's fine. I wasn't. I have no reason to believe that offer isn't a good one. Just trying to understand the context of how the number came about. So thank you.
And to that point,
Yes.
the city can't sell something under value, and the fire district can't overpay. So
They're
they
both
can't-
governmental
Yeah,
agencies.
they can't. So, like Ron said, Nathan did, Scott, Brandon, Larmer, myself, we've all looked at a bunch of different fire trucks and different things, and that was a fair, like Ron said, a fair price. That there wasn't. I mean, it could be $8,000 and it could be $12,000. There wasn't anything, but the city is obligated to get the maximum, but they're also obligated to not overpay as well. So, from accountability standpoint.
Yeah.
So.
Ron, I know one question I had here. I have the letter in front of me. There's a sentence in there that says this offer is good until June 30th. There's some other steps that I believe that we need to go through to purchase this fire truck, and as well maybe as the fire district does need some other steps to vice versa. Yes, vice versa. Sorry, for the city to sell it and for the district to purchase it. Is that a hard date, or is that just a date for in writing so that you had something to
It
go
was
by?
the date we put on, because see, since you couldn't make a decision at your last meeting, you actually had this a month ago, and so we knew that nothing of substantial value like this could be discussed. So then we put on there to June 30th. I'm sure that the commissioners would vote to extend this offer. We would have to vote on it since the time period would be up.
Right. Okay.
Question.
I would bring it forth to them at the next meeting if we can't get this done by then.
Okay. Go ahead, Peter.
When did the city acquire the Boardman pumper? And do we know what we paid for it then?
I don't have the year.
That would influence.
I have the bill of sale, but I don't believe it has a date on it. Scott, do you remember the year that the city purchased that off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't.
Okay.
It's been
I have the bill of sale in front of me. I don't see a date on it. I have everything else on there.
What did the city pay for it?
The city paid $20,000.
I think it's about 20 years ago.
Okay.
It could be.
Yeah, the original purchase price, the city bought it for $20,000 from Benton County Protection District 1 out of Kennewick, I believe.
$10,000 depreciation over 20 years.
That's negligible.
I think it sounds good.
Well, I would make a motion that the city goes forward and accepts that, pending whatever else you need to figure out
Yeah.
on your side. If we have to do some kind of a public notice or
And so the stuff that I saw was for selling equipment. Obviously, there's some steps to go forward with that. I don't know on the purchase. I don't know what all is involved there yet, but so
I'd make the motion.
Okay.
pending your steps.
there's been a motion by Councilman Slack to accept the offer pending any other steps that need to be taken by the city, and seconded by Stephen.
Go ahead.
Any other discussion on it?
Sounds to me to be a pretty generous offer in light of how long we've had the vehicle.
Yeah, and I think it'll serve well. Like he said, the fire district is knows what's going on with it, and they've trained on it. So I think it's good for everybody. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Abstentions, no. Okay, motion passes 4-1-0. Thank you.
Ask him if he wants to be recorded.
Do you want to be recorded on your vote, David?
Yes.
Okay,
Got it.
thank you. Okay, another quick just FYI update. COVID's really put kind of a crunch on a lot of things, and this is another one, but I just wanted to let the council be aware. I am currently working on an agreement with Lincoln County with the land services for the building inspector agreement so that they can provide services for the city of Harrington when we have buildings being built or anything that entails inspection within the city, that we can contract with them. And what will happen is we'll receive the money, and 75% of that money, if the agreement, if the council chooses to accept the agreement when it's done, that the Lincoln County will receive 75% of the fees, and the city of Harrington will keep 25% of the fees. But I will present that to the council as soon as it's done, and we'll go from there. But I just kind of wanted the council to be aware of it.
Nathan, I'll follow up on that. So, two things. Our 2020 budget is prefaced off of that model. We talked a little bit about it last year. Several other cities within Lincoln County also contract with Lincoln County
Correct.
for these services. So it's not, that 75% is I don't think it's negotiable. It's just what they do, and it really, there's no obligation to this. It doesn't cost the city money other than that permit fee, but then that way the onus is on them to be the building inspector and to do those things. Obviously,
Yep.
we've only had one building here, or new residents, since the last 75 or 25 years. And then last year we also had the elevator, or the grain union folks wanted to build a commercial property. There's a garage and things as well, but that way we can just outsource it to the county. But like I said, our budget figures reflect for permits reflected that for 2020 the reduced, the 25% type of fee. So.
Yep. Thank you. I'll get that out to you guys as soon as it's done. Working with Brian James is the building inspector for Lincoln County, so we'll get that out soon. I'm going to take the sewer employee off. David, street surface repairs. You have the floor.
Yes, my concerns is the potholes in all the streets. What are we doing about buying the material and affording the city crew time and effort, machinery to do it? And there's a lot of potholes around that need to be fixed. And that was just an update on that, basically. But where are we going with that? And how do we do that?
So David, this is Justin. Last year we were supposed to do the potholes, but that never got done. The city crew, the asphalt never got the holes never got measured to figure out how much we needed. The asphalt was never done, and then the time came and went, and then all of a sudden it was October and it was too late. So
I understand.
I talked to Nathan earlier this year to tell him that now we're 2 years without that service. So hopefully, instead of waiting till September of this year, that he could try to work with the city crew, and which I know he has been, and do that sooner rather than later, just because of we're already 2 years and our streets are already bad enough, so they need it probably twice a year, but doing it once a year is to get that back up there. So that's why I don't know why It's usually done every September anyway. It didn't get done last year. I guess it fell off the radar for those guys, but so that's at least from my perspective. But Nathan can follow up with what he's been doing since.
Yeah, so I have spoke with Scott, and we plan on doing it. We're going to end up doing asphalt twice this year, so we're going to do some now to get some of the water leak areas fixed that need some pavement, and then some of the potholes as well, and then we will follow up and do it again in the fall, try to kind of get us back on schedule and get everything that we can and that we can afford to filled and taken care of. And I spoke with Scott earlier this week. He's working on getting that truck ready to go so that we can go to the plant and get asphalt. We'll have to rent a little roller and get it out here as well.
Well, that's fine and dandy, and that sounds good. And I appreciate your input, Justin, and also Nathan, Mr. Mayor. That what I'm looking at is just your incidental potholes and some mix that you throw in there and kind of buy you time, kind of like a Band-Aid, a little bit, you know?
Yeah, so the other thing we can do with the smaller stuff, I know they produce a cold mix that comes in a sack that you can, for smaller stuff, you wouldn't want to do a very big one, but you can buy in a sack that we could get some of that, so it can just be distributed through potholes that arise, between now and the fall time. Is that what your question is?
I think that behoove the city to do that. There's a pothole out here in front of my street that people have been dodging. I'm sure Justin has had to. He knows where it is. And there's numerous places that a little bit of that cold mix or that stuff you pound in there and be done with it, and so forth and so on. That would definitely, make it a little more palatable to people. And granted, there's some streets around that just need some TLC and maybe some major reconstruction going forward that we're going to have to visit.
Yeah.
And not now, but we're going to have to visit that in our town. And I'd like to see that happen. As far as where Scotty and the maintenance crews have been doing, they've been doing a good job with what they have. And I'd like to ramp that up a little bit to give them some more tools and give them some more availability to progress and do a better job.
Yeah.
But that's something that we'll discuss in an open meeting. But furthermore, just the potholes are, everybody's worst nightmare. And we live in Harrington, and we don't live on 3rd Street in Spokane, where it's all, just kidding. But I mean, we have some stuff here that we need to take care of, and I just don't know where the budget is for that to get them the material and get them going on it. It's just something that I think would make everybody happy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to keep moving forward on it and definitely get some stuff taken care of. We'll have to look at the budget and look at spending and for materials and stuff. But yep, we're definitely going to keep going.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's all I had.
Alrighty. Is that kind of the city equipment as well too, or is that a separate subject?
Well, the equipment. Wanted to know is what's the date of all of it? What do we have? How dilapidated it is, and what's the what do you have available for our employees, city employees, to do their job?
Well,
effectively, expediently, to maintain everything.
Yeah. So I know a little bit what we have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's something that we expect a lot. We're city employees, But we have to also, as a council, have responsibility to supply them the equipment to do it. And I want to see what we have available, and if we can ramp that up a bit with grants and get some more stuff in here, equipment for them to help their job and help, promote the expedient job.
Yeah, so I'll touch base a little bit of what I know on the first part of that. Obviously, we see certain things run around town that all the citizens and the council and everybody can see what we have and maybe the condition too. But the other half of the answer from me to that question is I don't know. We have a lot of resources through AWC and RMSA that we can use to inventory that stuff, and so we really need our city guys to be able to do that. So to be able to give us an inventory and what condition it's in and what's needed. I think that's been asked for quite a long time and hasn't been received. So obviously, like I said, we know a little bit of what they have, but I'd say the underlying part of the answer to that question is I don't know everything that we have and what condition it is, what's needed, hand tools or equipment or anything like that. So we're gonna have to work with Scott and Charlie both on that to give us a heads up of what we can look at going forward, what we need to acquire and fix.
Yeah, they have to have the tools to perform the jobs, and we're on the same page, Nathan. I think we are, and in an open meeting, or a sit down or whatever. But you and I have talked before, and I think we're there. So yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yep.
So Nathan, real quick too, so follow up. So I got on the council the same year Dylan became mayor, and that was a big thing of Dylan's trying to inventory everything. So Dylan tried so that was 5 years ago, and it hasn't happened. To your point, you said we've asked for it. So for the last 2 years when I was the mayor doing our budgets, we asked for what we need for next year to be successful. We never received anything. So it is a two-way street, Dave. Definitely there's a lot of need out there, but it's hard. I'm not an equipment guy myself. I'm not a maintenance guy, so I don't know. I can tell that something looks broken, but I don't know how broken it is. That's where the lawnmower came up, where we duct taped it for 5 years, 50 rolls of duct tape. We knew that wasn't going to work anymore. So that's how that lawnmower and now the outsourced of lawn mowing came about. So it definitely, if that's something you can help with too, or provide insight into the council, I think I would have welcomed it as the mayor. I'm sure Nathan would. And I think as a fellow council member, I would welcome that because we need that help. The small resources that as the city has itself, having those extra, people that know some of those things will go a long way.
Do you catch that, David?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll keep moving forward with that and work with the city guys to really, we need you mentioned grants as part of that too. There is a lot of money out there. Obviously COVID's going to maybe put a little bit of a stranglehold on that for a while, but the biggest part about receiving money and getting grants and funding for that kind of stuff that doesn't come out of our pocket is having something to apply for. We need to know what we need and how much and stuff like that to go forward with that funding with some of those sources. So we definitely need to keep working forward on that so that we can try to accomplish some of that.
Well, I agree, and we keep this on the burner. The expectations of our maintenance crew is such that I think it behooves us to. We want a good town. That's the whole goal.
Yep.
And we'll strive for it.
Absolutely. Okay, that's the end of what we originally had. We had, I see, 4 additions on here as of right now. The first one being the Hotel Lincoln sidewalk closure. I was approached by Jerry Allen, the owner of the Hotel Lincoln, and they have received grant funding to do some structural work in the storefront of the hotel. I asked the council about being able to close the sidewalk just to keep people safe. They're going to be running some equipment around the hotel, and then a lot of work going on the east side of that hotel that's facing 3rd Street, and he wanted to be able to be allowed to close the sidewalk during business hours just to keep people from walking underneath where they're working, just for safety reasons. So I just thought, I don't know that we need to vote on it necessarily, but I just wanted to make the council aware of it and kind of get any thoughts on doing that.
Are you supportive of it?
What is David's thoughts that anything you can do to protect public safety and not hamper anything is A-okay?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good route to go, and I appreciate that they did. I'm supportive of it 2 ways. One, obviously, to keep people safe, and then the second part of that is to get some work done on the hotel.
How long would this go for?
I believe, off the top of my head, he said it'd be off and on for 3 weeks. This would be in July sometime. I don't remember the date exactly. I tried to get a hold of him before the meeting, but I didn't have any luck.
Is the city responsible for putting up barricade, a barricade and detour? Are they going to do that?
No, that's a good question. So no, we would not be putting up barricades. They would provide everything that's needed for it. His question was more of whether that we would allow it or be okay with him putting those measures in place.
Just a comment, if I may.
Yeah.
The hotel's on what I consider to be a very dangerous corner, given the number of trucks that come around there. I would urge the Allens to work closely with Scott to make sure all the signage is up to snuff.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point. I think mainly it's just the sidewalk that is being immediately affected, but I'll make sure that they talk with Scott and make sure anything else is in place that's needed. Okay. Next one on the list, July council meeting. So as you guys remember at the last meeting, we had a special meeting for a public hearing for our CBDG grant funding opportunity in our application. That did not, for whatever reason, did not get printed in the Times. We sent it off to them, and it never got printed. So, what our Stephen Marsh is having us do is actually have another public hearing, and I think we talked about it at that meeting as well. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we would be doing that at the July council meeting. Just to have it officially, so we'll make sure that it gets printed this time and then hold another public hearing just like we did at the special meeting, just to make sure that everything's kosher. So that was just kind of an FYI. And another thing to go along with that grant funding is a grievance policy. So Steve Marsh sent an email to Janice and I that we needed to adopt a grievance policy procedure type of document. You guys got it in your packets, I believe late last night or today. This grievance policy, I asked them today, I was kind of concerned that we would be adopting something that was in general for the whole city for any kind of a grievance. This document, however, can be used solely for grievances that are involved with grant funding. So this is something that needs to be done, that we need to adopt for part of the application process for the funding. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at it and had seen it.
So did we not have one for when we did the 2nd Street project, or is it something you have to renew every couple of years, or?
We couldn't find anything. I'm not going to say that we didn't have one for that. Obviously, I wasn't quite involved with that. I guess to answer your question, I don't know that. I don't know if we had one. This
But this is only, it only pertains to grant funding.
It can be used that way. You can do it because we have a grievance policy in our in our handbook for complaints against the city like that. But yes, this document can be used for the grant funding.
This is directly for the CDBG.
Yes, correct.
Community Development Block Grant.
Yep.
So you're looking to adopt this tonight?
Yes,
All
that
right.
is correct.
Well, I'll move adoption. We can have discussion and if necessary.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion by Steven, and seconded by Peter, seconded by Justin. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of adopting the grievance procedure, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Davis is aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you, council. We'll get that filled out and get it sent off, and hopefully that application goes in and things go well.
I'll get that off to him in the morning.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Justin asked for a mayor update. Some of it I've gone over just through the normal agenda, the annual report, and some other things as well.
Light poles, car.
Oh, yeah. So we had some light poles go down. Was that late last year? Give an update on there. We've got them ordered. They're on their way. It's taken a while, but it's been a long process. Janice has been involved with that a lot more than I have, but they're on their way. We have 2 sitting on the ground, Scott. Is that correct? I don't know if Scotty's still with us, but there's 2 of them here, I believe. The third's going to be on its way, and some other parts for the light poles. So we're going to have, and that's through insurance, so that's at no cost to the city. Those are going to be put up by Halmy Electric. You guys might have seen a car sitting on 3rd Street, it'd be right by the vacant lot. We called the sheriff's office and spoke with them. It's still there. I'm not really sure why, but we're still working to get that removed and find the correct owner of it.
Since it's a state highway, should we call the state patrol?
I think both of them have been contacted. Is that correct, Janice?
Yes.
Okay. And if,
The funding,
Nobody.
say that again, sorry.
light,
Go ahead, Janice.
oh, sorry. The insurance company has issued the check back to the city already for the insurance claims.
For the car?
Oh, for the light poles. Okay. And have you heard anything on the car recently? We contacted both State Patrol and the Sheriff's Office as well, correct?
Correct, and we have not heard back.
Okay. Well, we'll keep working on that.
It's Dean Merrim's car.
Oh, okay. So we found ownership.
Yeah, but haven't heard anything more.
There's toilet paper in it.
Okay.
Okay. So we know who the owner is then, obviously.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we'll touch bases with, who have you been dealing with, Janice, on that? It is a state highway, but has the Sheriff's Office been the one there, or has that been State Patrol?
That's Macon County.
Okay. Maybe they're referring it to the State Patrol. Maybe that's why there's a little bit of lag there, but
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure.
Because, the state patrol, if there's an abandoned car on a highway, they put a check mark and they,
yeah, it's a couple days usually, and it's,
this has been a couple weeks, so I don't,
yeah.
okay.
We'll touch bases with them again and see what's going on there.
Do we know who the owner is yet?
Yes, we do. Yep.
Local?
Yeah. Yep. Ironically, it's parked almost directly under a no parking sign. So I thought that was kind of humorous. Yeah.
If the city would contact the individual and we could get a group of people to move it.
I believe we have
Be happy
tried
to
to get in contact with him also.
Okay. Alrighty, great. Anything else?
So I have one more thing that I think we got delayed at the last meeting, but we talked previously about the street closure for the car show, and so I don't think we never did anything with that. So I don't know if we need. I mean, obviously it's June now. It's scheduled for July 25th, but if the city was gonna go forward with that, or if we wanted to discuss it, or
Yeah, I'd let the council discuss. You're correct. I don't think we ever move forward with it or discussed it anymore. What's the council's thought on that?
Have we ever closed the street before for the car show? I'm not usually in town for it, but usually it's
not that street
open
not the
all the way
highway.
through.
No, I don't think Third Street's
Okay.
been closed. I know it has further back in the past for other things, but
And
I
what
don't think in recent history.
portion did they? I'm just refresh my memory.
From the highway to Sherlock.
Yep.
Okay. In the
Which part of
middle of July, the time of year
End of
when
July, harvest.
traffic is going through, not. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
My concern a little bit too, is every other festival or event in Lincoln County and neighboring Spokane County, and I think Grant County has been canceled. Obviously, this is a private event, so we can't obviously say they can't do it on their property. But I think closing the street, I think people are still nervous. Like inviting. I mean, before in last year, I think they had 120 cars or something. So several hundred people. I don't know if the city wants to look at inviting potentially several hundred people out of towners, especially. I mean, we've only had 2 cases here in Lincoln County, none in Harrington. It could potentially be one of those things. So,
Yeah, and I think it's a big portion of the street too. It's not one block or something that's small. I mean, that you could put an easy detour around or something like that. It's a pretty big portion. I mean,
When we
really.
do Fall Fest and we do the parades, that's closed.
Nathan,
it is.
Yeah.
even in phase 3, it's only 50 people. So I don't think that even for me putting in a request for a street closure for a car show that they're even going to grant that. And
Right.
I don't have time to do that.
Well-
I have I need 3 months to do that through WashDOT, and that's July 25th.
Okay.
We're already in the beginning of June.
For my 2 cents worth, I would not shut the main drag down in
Okay,
the middle
yeah.
of harvest. That's just a
Yeah, I think
recipe
it's a
for
bad time of the
disaster.
year to try to do
There's
that.
not going to be any vendors. And the chamber, you mentioned before, the chamber has.
I don't have the time. I have the time. I can do it for them, but it's not going to go through.
Right.
So, but there's.
Because there's not enough. I have enough time in the office to do it, but they require more time for that process.
Right. Yep. I think that's understood. I think we have kind of a general consensus that we don't want to do it. I mean, even if the time, if we had time through WashDOT.
Why do they want to close it versus previous years?
I think just to be able to close it, just
And we're still under guidelines that don't allow for things like that.
Well, we might not be in phase 3.
yeah, and it depends where we'd be at, if we'd be in a different phase by then or not. But I guess to answer your question, Stephen, of why to close it, I don't know the entire answer, but just I think for ease of
They can do
parking,
everything they've done every previous year without closing it, correct?
I would certainly think so. Yes.
Okay, well then I think.
They're trying to protect the cars, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Make it easier.
Yep.
May I chime in, please? This is Sherry.
Go ahead, Sherry.
The chamber was going to seek a street closure for the street dance that was scheduled for the Friday night. That, of course, is, since cruise, it's not a part of cruising, that's not going to happen. Yeah, that was different, though.
It's a different street.
You know that Bill has advertised that she is going to have vendors, but I don't know if they would need any extra space other than her parking lot.
So I would recommend that you get in touch with her,
Yeah. Yep.
with
She can get in touch
Joe
with the
Barth,
city.
and see what she needs, because they may have changed the plan by now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she can update us on what they want to do, but I think we've kind of got a good consensus of how the council feels.
Plus, there's not enough time.
Yeah, and the time too.
Window, the window of opportunities. That means that though the city better get on. We have to make a decision then by
Regarding the fall festival.
the fall festival. It
Yeah.
takes 3 months, because
Yep.
then it's at the end of September. So by the July,
Need to put in for it now.
you'd actually have to put it in. Yeah. So if it takes 3 months, that's going to be after our July meeting, before our July meeting.
Right.
Okay,
Well, and the
so-
Lions Club still has to meet too. I don't think
Yeah.
there's been a decision on whether fall festival is going to be held or not either.
Well, yeah, but Fall Fest is a little bit bigger than Lions Club too. If we get the
I can always try to still close the street, but I don't think that there's. I think that there's a time constraint now.
Yep.
No, well, I think now we're talking about Fall
Washington
Fest.
process.
So if we get it, we don't have to use it.
Right.
So I think for Fall Fest, we should get it. We should request it while we can request it, and then decide whether to use it later. Because if we don't request it now, we have no option later, and we're not obligated to do it if we get it.
But as a city, the devil's advocate, is the city willing to bring several hundred or 1,000 people in September?
But are we committing to that route now?
Janice said it takes 3 months to get the street closure.
Right.
So if we apply for it now, that means that the city is welcoming that.
We don't have to actually allow the event, though. We're just getting the permission to close it. We don't have to actually make it available, do we?
I don't know the answer to that. If you apply for it and they grant it, I don't know that if we then have the power or the ability to say yes, you can do it, or no, you can't. I don't know
I would
that.
agree
but-
with your point. If we become obligated at this point, that's, I would see, a relevant question. But if we aren't obligated to use that permission that we get from the state, then we can have multiple meetings and get closer to it to figure
I
that
did,
out.
yeah, it's right here. Yeah.
We all have copies.
Okay.
Okay.
That's my 2
Yeah.
cents, but my position would be predicated upon what we're committed to do once we request it.
Yeah. Janice, do you know the answer to that, or can you find that out whether for Fall Festival, if we request the street closure for the parade, whether we at that point then are saying that we will be closing it, or whether it's just an application in case that we want to
We
close
can
it?
always tell them if we want to do it, we can do it, and I can always tell them that we're not going to do it.
Okay. Alrighty.
I can contact them and tell them we're not going to do it.
Okay.
But if we don't put it in, then we can't do it.
Right. Okay. Yep, that's Steven's point. I think that's a good idea.
And I think we should have a good discussion on that part of. I'm not downplaying.
It's only the timing. I didn't think it took 3 months, but if it takes 3 months, then that window now is at the end of June, before our next meeting. So if we bring it up again at the next meeting,
Just apply now.
then we're already past the deadline.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's the only purpose. But at the same time, Stephen made the point, but right now we're in phase 3. So we think we're going to be in phase 4 in 3 weeks, but we don't
Go
know.
backwards.
So are they going to, they might hold it too. So
Right.
So I guess you could at least apply for it and then,
They may rush it through.
Yeah,
as
well, Janice, we'll have you talk to WashDOT and then get going on that and see where we're at next couple days.
All right, I'll talk to you some more about that
Okay.
date, because I don't even know what dates I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yep. No, we'll get the details on that.
Okay.
Alrighty.
are we supposed to do something with this letter?
Yeah, I don't know.
Comment.
Under public comment.
Oh, this is you? Yes. Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay. Well, we will go to public comment then.
Can I address it?
Yeah. You want to read this?
What's that?
You want to read this?
No, I just made copies to for you to look it over. I just want to introduce myself. I know Peter's knows who I am.
Haven't seen you for an age.
Exactly. I've been a member of this community for over 25 years. We, and probably over the last 5 to 7, you guys probably discussed my house and family in regards to violation over and over. In the 2013, when the ammonia factory had the big spill, it devastated our house, and my mother and I suffer from a very rare condition with downwinders. So we were forced to relocate. Long story short, we let other people come in to try and maintain the house, to give opportunities, and everything was a failure, from thievery, from destruction, just anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong for us. My mom was trying to deal with that as of last year, and we finally got the last residents out by police. And at that point in time, she was trying to deal with the bills, and doing so, she kind of started to slip, and within 2 months of that time frame, she passed away in September. I'm an only child, left me kind of devastated, and everything kind of fell apart, to put it lightly. So I just wanted to come back and say I'm here. I'm back in the community. I moved back in June, or about a week ago, and I really want to clean up the property. I've got the police involved 3 weeks ago to get Hulk slips to get some of the vehicles removed from the property, but I was completely unaware of the water bill. And at this point in time, Janice told me it's about $1,500, and that there's a possibility of a lien being put on the house. I understand that. The house is paid for, other than it's in very poor shape. I put some 10 by 20s up in front to try and get things out of the house. Mice have kind of taken care of because we're in the country, and due to lack of water, I have not been able to get in and clean. So I'm really here to throw myself at the mercy of the city council or the city of Harrington, to help me to try and resolve how I can get my water turned back on, so I can stay here and continue to clean that property up so it's not an eyesore. And as it is, there's probably about 5 vehicles on it. There's 3 or 4 trailers. Just my grass is about 2 feet tall. I've been trying to weed whack, but the rain has hit me the last few days. So in general, the biggest thing is to tell you that I'm here. I'm trying to be committed to taking care of it, to cleaning up and getting things resolved. But if there's any way you guys can help me, or a payment plan, or talk about it, the biggest thing I need to do is to get that water turned on so I can start to remove the items out, get everything going again, and be in compliance with the city.
Okay.
So I wrote a letter. That's basically kind of a long story short in reference to where I'm coming from. I'm literally asking for help. And I talked to Janice extensively. She broke everything down to me. And basically it's been over a year, and a lot of the bill is due to the fact that if you own a house, you have to pay a sewer fee. So it has been inactive since May of last year, and I'd like to try and find a way to clear it and become active again, but I need a little bit of help. So I don't know what the procedure is. I don't know what kind of discussions need to take place. But I did not, like many people, I have not received my stimulus yet. So I do not have $1,500 to walk in today and say, here you go. I do know that even if there's a lien, it will be, but I can make some kind of payments arrangements and get back on the thing, which she said is about $167, I guess, a month now. So I need to know what to do. That's why I'm here today, and to introduce myself, if nobody did know, and to I guess apologize that we that my family and I have let it get this far. We trusted a lot of people, and it very much backfired against us and made it much, much worse. But I'm here to try and resolve that and to move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in. I guess to answer your question, the process, Janice, can you enlighten us a little bit on the process that we can or need to go through as far as the billing goes?
Well, there's a lien currently on the property. So the first thing that would have to happen, we can definitely work with them on a payment plan, but we need to have him take care of the payments for the lien fees,
Okay.
and then he could come into the office and work with me, and we can set up a payment plan.
So one thing I'll say, so I was the mayor last year.
Okay.
I had to deal with the auditors. So I was a council member, and then I became the mayor by de facto. And so the auditors, their thing is, I believe our policy says that if the water's turned off, it can't be turned back on unless paid in full. That's what, that's been there for a long time, as far as I understand. I mean,
Yes.
so the auditors, their biggest thing says, why do you allow that to happen? Why do you let people not pay or let them continue to have water they don't turn on when the rest of your citizens are, basically it's an interest-free loan, is what the auditor, that's the state telling us that. That's not like a private company, that's the state, right or wrong, that's what they say. So we've been criticized before for allowing that, or I guess allowing it. So like Janice said, I think that I know of is a policy, but I think there's been some, obviously, if we've been criticized for it, somebody's taken some liberties over the years to allow certain, and I was never a part of that. I don't know if I think that was Bunny, I don't know if it was Paul as well. I don't know if Bunny made that decision, but when I was the mayor for the year and a half that I was the mayor, we never had it specifically. It came up and said, oh, somebody has a bill, then it's the full meal deal.
Yeah.
But that's at least for some perspective and some background.
Yeah.
What you decide to do now, that's.
Yep.
So.
And I don't know the whole policy, to be honest with you. I'd be lying to you if I told you I did. So one thing I need to do is to get that and look at it and see what the process is within that policy and what the policy is of utilities being turned on and off. About all I can offer to you right now is the fact that I'll research it and see.
When I did come in, just to be clear, I am understanding that. I did have a conversation with Janice, and Janice kind of felt that it is very possible that it has to be paid up front.
Right.
And in doing so, that's the main reason why I'm here, why I'm asking, why I wrote a letter asking if there's any adjustments or any kind of help I can get, because I don't have that. But what I do have is I got an eyesore. I've got cars that gotta go. I've got some like $100 here, $100 there to do. But in order to do it, I've got to have that water. And yet, at the same time, I'm responsible. My parents were, we were, and it got out of control. And the only way I know of doing it, I've asked people and families over the last couple to come do it, and they haven't done it. So the only way I know it's going to get done is if I personally come and take care of my house, take care of it, and work on it.
Is the lien for the entire 1,500?
I don't know.
Because we probably filed it. It depends probably when it was filed.
Yeah.
And then that would be the existing, so.
I have gotten no mail. Apparently the city has been trying to send mail for the last year, and it's all come back.
We've sent certified mail too, I know.
Yeah, the mailbox got ran over up there, so they don't even deliver mail to the address. And then we had a P.O. box, and then when Mom passed away, that went. So it's been about a good year since I've gotten any correspondence in reference to the house, the bills, so forth and so on. So I'm there might be 1 month that I would be disputing this, and it would have been when they left. But other than that, she broke it down, and I understand. So I'm not here to go, oh my gosh, you know, it's outrageous.
Yeah.
And, no, it's the house sat, and we weren't able to get any kind of relief from the railroad or from the ammonia factory when the spill happened that caused that relocation. And subsequently, it's just been something that went downhill, you know. And yeah, I'm not here to, like I said, I'm throwing my hands at the mercy of you guys, telling you that I know it needs to be done. It's an eyesore. I'd like to get in compliance. I'm certain if you were mayor that you probably had multiple conversations about that up there. As he smiles, he knows.
Yep.
And I'd like not to the next, or for you to have that. I'd like to try and work on it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
And I'm traveling 150 miles. The only work I have is in Spokane. So there's not a lot of funds. But I'm trying to go to work every day and come back and weed eat and do it. And weekends I have off. So
okay.
I'm not going to be here a week or two and then go running like everybody else. I'm here to get it done.
Okay.
But,
Well, I appreciate you coming in. I will definitely do the research on that and get back with you as soon as I can on what needs to happen, where we need to go with it.
Do I come in and talk to Janice in a couple days? Or
Yeah, or
what
you can
kind of
leave your
time
number and I
frame?
can get a hold of you too. I know Janice did leave a note for me to call you, so that's my apologies on my part. So
Can I ask Janice a question? Is
Yeah.
she still on?
Yep.
Janice, you mentioned something about the lien cost. Did I understand that correctly?
The what? I'm sorry. I can.
the
You
lien,
talked about
the lien fees.
that you paid?
Yeah, I'll have to get with Nathan, and him and I will have to. There's a lien fee for filing a lien, and then there's lien fees to release it.
Do you know what those fees are off the top of your head?
It's less than $80.
Okay.
And I'm not asking that the lien get removed. I'm just asking to get the water on and to allow me to pay. If we need to leave the lien on, that's understandable.
Okay. Yeah, I think I need to research it and look at that policy to see what it states in there.
That can't be done anyways without me writing a letter to the office there in Lincoln County. So.
Okay.
Okay. And is there a way to look at adjustments or any kind of forgiveness or any kind of grant or any help from the council at all?
As far as help, I don't know that
We don't
we
have
could.
any funds. We don't have from what I know, I mean, we don't have any, like Vista sometimes has we don't have that. So obviously, you've lived here before, but so 400 people or 420 people is our current population. Our biggest burden right now is that sewer plant.
Yeah.
So the sewer plant was built 15 or 20 years ago for twice the size, but we never grew that much. So the pie that's carrying that burden is the shoulder. I mean, it's overwhelming. So the last 2 years we've had to actually, and that's why the rate now is about $161 for water, sewer, and garbage, because of the increased costs of maintaining that, of maintaining our things. So we don't have a fund to help. I know there's other. That's the challenge too. Is we have other people coming into the city asking for the same kind of relief, and then to say, how come Johnny got it but I'm not getting there? How come Mary and Jim got it? And that's a challenge. But it exists. But and I would say too, like to what Nathan's point is we just I think got this today, right? You know, I just saw it. So we only meet once a month though. So I think the best thing is for Nathan and Janice to be able to go through that and see if the lien was filed last year. Janice, did you file the lien or was it filed by Bunny?
Can you add your phone number?
Bunny filed it.
So Bunny filed it. So Bunny hasn't been here since December 31st. She retired. And so we know then at least the lien would be for, up through December. So there's 6 months or 5 months that it had. I mean, it could have been in September or.
It's for all reoccurring fees also, so it adds.
Oh, it's for all reoccurring fees.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it is for the total then of the 1,500.
Yeah,
Fifty.
sounds like it.
Existing
Yep.
balance, okay.
Yep.
Well, that takes care of that. But anyway, so I think it's probably best for them to look at that and see what the options are. I don't no, it didn't come up to me. It never came up in my tenure, so I don't know if it's if the mayor deals with it or if it's a council type of thing.
Yeah.
Personally, so I think they'll need to research that because, again, if you know, you have to be careful. You do it for one, you do it for the other. You know, for everybody type of thing. So that's just where.
It may not be the city's role to do that, but there are potentially some private venues in the city that might be interested. So I'll make some phone calls and see what we can do.
Yeah.
I thank you all for your time today.
Yep.
And I
Thanks for coming in.
appreciate-
Thanks for coming in, Levi.
Yeah, and I'm working on it. We'll get it not to be an eyesore, and we'll get her back on track.
Alrighty. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a great day, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice.
Okay.
No problem.
I don't have anything further unless the rest of the council does. Thanks for hanging on for 2 hours. David, do you have anything else?
No, nothing else.
Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. So Justin has made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:08, and it has been seconded by Levi. I assume there's no discussion. Is that correct? All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, David, aye.
Alrighty. All opposed? No. Alrighty. Meeting adjourned, 9:08. Thanks, everybody.
So, real quick on Mr. Fidley here. So Bunny, you talked to Bunny, I think, right? You talk to Bunny now?
I have talked to her a couple times.
Nathan, you should talk to her. So we sent certified mail. So he never told the city that his new address. I always knew them as only a problem. I never dealt with them. That's the first time he never. But Bunny, and it carried over from years. It's been this way for several years.
18.
18 years. But the time that I've been on the council and the time that I was the mayor, it was. Obviously he wrote